The 2020 election is fast approaching, so today I will be giving you a rundown of key Senate races this election. On this map that you're seeing right now, all of the states highlighted in brown are states that will be holding one Senate race this election. All of those except for Georgia, they will be holding two. About 1/3 of all senators are up for election, but we can predict most of those races. On this map, I have highlighted states in blue that will likely stay as Democrat seats, and I highlighted states in red that will likely stay in Republican hands. Some might say that Texas might be taken by Democrats based on the 2018 Senate election there and their changing demographics, but the polling data and approval ratings are not in Democrats' favor. You might also say that about Georgia's special election because the incumbent is Kelly Loeffler, and she was appointed by the governor and was involved in the recent investigations, selling millions in stock after getting private Senate intelligence coronavirus news. But that's a whole nother video in itself. The first race that I want to talk about is Alabama. Democrat Doug Jones is the incumbent, and Republicans will be holding a runoff election on July 14th to decide their candidate. It will be between Tommy Tuberville, who is known for being a college football coach, and Jeff Sessions. He was a senator from Alabama until he was chosen to be the attorney general. Now he's trying to get his old job back because he was fired by Donald Trump via tweet. You may wonder why there is a Democrat in Alabama in the first place, but essentially during the special election in 2017, Roy Moore, who was the Republican candidate, had several, let's just say, allegations against him. Surprisingly, Jones's approval ratings aren't as bad as you may think, but he is still very, very likely not to be re-elected in November. I also think this because he only got 50% of the vote in the 2017 special election when he was going against a child predator. The next race I want to touch on is Michigan. The incumbent is Democrat Gary Peters, and businessman John James will likely be the GOP candidate. This is probably Republicans' second best shot at picking up a seat other than Alabama, but I don't think that they'll win here. Peters is a veteran and has decent approval ratings. He is also winning in all reliable polls. In Iowa, the incumbent is Republican Joni Ernst, and the field of Democrats running is very large. I can't make a good guess to who the Democrat nominee will be, but the final outcome of the race very much depends on the Democratic candidate. Ernst's approval ratings are underwater, and she is the third most unpopular senator in the U.S. Senate right now. But if I had to guess, I would think that Ernst will end up keeping her seat. But that prediction very well could change from now until the election. Now I will talk about one of the most interesting races, Arizona. The incumbent is Republican Martha McSally. She was appointed by the governor after John McCain passed away. She is not as well known as most senators in their states, but of those who do know about her, they do not like her. Although the Democratic primary has not happened, astronaut Mark Kelly will likely be the nominee. You may know him from the NASA twins experiment or from the fact that his wife is a former congresswoman. Polling is not looking good for McSally and has Kelly winning in all reliable polls. She is also the seventh most unpopular senator in Congress right now. If I had to guess, I would say that McSally would lose her seat this election. She also lost in a previous Senate race against Democrat Kyrsten Sinema, who holds the other Arizona Senate seat. In Colorado, the incumbent is Cory Gardner, and the Democratic primary is still very much in the open. John Hickenlooper is the former two-term governor of Colorado. He is more of a moderate or a centrist candidate. Andrew Romanoff is the former Colorado Speaker of the House, and is the more progressive or liberal candidate. Hickenlooper is the clear frontrunner in the race, but things could still change. I think that either Democratic candidate could beat Gardner. Hickenlooper is beating him right now in polls, and he is the sixth most unpopular senator in the Senate right now. Maine Senior Senator Suzanne Collins is up for a re-election, and Sarah Gideon is likely to win the Democratic nomination on July 14th. Sarah Gideon is the Maine Speaker of the House. Gideon is winning in the polls against Suzanne Collins right now, and Suzanne Collins is the most disapproved of senator right now. This is mainly because her claiming to be the centrist Republican who commonly breaks party lines when it matters, despite her voting to approve Associate Justice Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court and to acquit President Donald Trump during his impeachment trial. She said, "I hope the president has learned his lesson, but we will have to see," as a reason for her vote. I think that this seat will be taken by Democrats. In North Carolina, the incumbent is Tom Tillis, and the elected Democratic nominee is State Senator Cal Cunningham. Tillis will likely receive a lot of backlash for brushing off his fellow North Carolina Senator Richard Burr's shady stock dealings. Richard Burr was the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, but recently resigned. Tillis's approval ratings are underwater, but only slightly. Cunningham is barely winning in the poll aggregations and is outside of the margin of error. I think that Cunningham will win this race, though. He is outpacing Tillis in funding by a lot. The final race I am going to be talking about is Montana. Republican Steve Daines is the incumbent, and Steve Bullock will likely be the Democratic candidate. He is the current governor of Montana and is limited by term limits. Bullock is doing well in recent polls, but Daines' approval ratings are not bad. I personally think that this is the most difficult race to predict, but I'm going to predict that Daines will win re-election based on the incumbency advantage, but that prediction can very well change. This is a map with all of the battleground states that I just covered filled in. Light red states are states that I think that GOP will win or hold, and light blue states are states that I think Democrats will win or hold. But don't take these predictions for fact. They're just based on approval ratings and polling data. So, thanks for watching the video. Like it if you liked it, and dislike it if you didn't like it. Goodbye.